Welcome back to InstaPhippsyFishing. Today I'm going to be working on my John boat. As you might have seen on my channel, last year I bought my first ever boat, a Marlon SP14 John boat. And I did two videos on it, one installing a floor and one installing a deck. So today I'm going to start correcting some of the errors that I made last year. And when I put my boat away at the end of last season, I removed the deck and the floor and the styrofoam so that this year I would have a fresh start on it again. The first thing I'm doing today is replacing the styrofoam that I used last year. I started working on my boat during the pandemic, so I wasn't able to go into Home Depot or any stores and find the correct supplies. I had to order online and do curbside pickup. I ended up ordering the wrong styrofoam. I ordered the white popcorn looking styrofoam like this that just crumbles and absorbs a ton of water. I left it in for the season because I didn't want to take my boat out of the water and fix it then, but I figured I would fix it now before putting my boat back in the water for the 2022 season. And then I also made my deck and floor removable for the main purpose of being able to fix the styrofoam and add a few more things to it. So what I'm also going to be doing today is using a steam cleaner to clean my deck and floor carpet from my boat from last year, because I'm sure it's quite dirty from walking all over it for 5 or 6 months and putting, hundreds of fish on the deck of it. I went to Home Depot and I bought the correct styrofoam, which is this pink stuff. I won't try pronouncing any of the names. I'll just put them on the screen. What I'm going to start with is just by measuring each section. So between the back bench seat and the middle bench seat, there is 3 sections that need styrofoam. And between the middle bench seat and the front bench, there's also 3 sections that need styrofoam. I'm going to start off measuring those because each one is different by 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 inch. So I just want to make sure that I measure precisely so I can cut as accurately as possible. On average, they're about 13.5 inches wide by about 54.5 inches long, but I'll measure each one so I can cut it exactly. Since each one is close to 54.5 inches long, I'm going to cut both pieces of styrofoam in half, and then I'll set the discarded halves aside for future projects. Now that I have my two 54.5 inch long pieces, then I'm going to cut 3 sections out of each half. I wrote down all my measurements so I don't have to remember them. The first piece is going to be 13.5 inches by 54.25 inches. The second piece is going to be 13 3/8 inches by 54.5 inches. The third piece is going to be 13.25 inches by 54.5 inches. The fourth piece is 13.5 by 54.5. The fifth piece is 13 3/8 by 54.5. And the sixth piece is the same, 13 3/8 by 54.5. I'm thinking a table saw would probably be the best bet, but I don't currently have a table saw. So I'm going to be using a circular saw to make these cuts. And then I'm actually going to use my old broken bump board just to draw the lines. Because it's a nice long straight piece of wood, I'm going to use that to draw the lines. And also I'm going to clamp it to the styrofoam just to help guide the circular saw in a nice straight line. That way the edges aren't uneven. Now that I have the first piece of styrofoam cut, I'm just going to bring it to the boat to make sure that it fits in there nice and snug. If I cut it a little bit too wide, it's still fine because I'm able to just bang it down and really snug it in there tight. It compresses a little bit. I'm also going to sand the edges just using my random orbit sander. I just want the edges to be as clean as possible so they're not fluffing off or anything like that. Now I'll finish my cuts for the remaining 5 pieces and just make sure that they all fit in there nice and snug as well. One small little issue that I ran into was as the battery would die on my Ryobi circular saw, since it was losing power, it would almost get stuck in place and it would heat up and start to melt the edge of the styrofoam. So I just had to make sure that my batteries were fully charged so I could just make a nice clean quick cut so that it wouldn't stall and start to melt the styrofoam. But overall it made some really nice clean cuts. I'm happy to finally have that issue solved. The wrong styrofoam that I used last year certainly got soaked and waterlogged and stinky. So I can finally throw that stuff out. So I can finally put in this nice pink styrofoam that is water and moisture resistant as well as mold and mildew resistant. So that should last me a long time. Now I'll move on to cleaning my carpets and my deck with my new Bissell SpotClean ProHeat Premier. So I'm just gonna watch a little tutorial about how to use this thing, and then maybe I'll do a quick review as well to see how it is, because I did buy this specifically for cleaning my boat carpets. So the first thing I need to do is fill this to the water line. It shows you right here that this is where the clean water goes. The other half is where the dirty water goes. So I'm gonna go fill it up to the water line there. I would consider the boat deck a large area, so I'm gonna use the large side instead of the small area side. So I'll add the water and then I will add the formula the rest of the way. The first thing I actually did was thoroughly vacuum each piece just to remove any surface debris like sand or rocks or just anything that could come out easily before getting it wet with the solution. Okay, well, it seems easy enough to use. Fill it to the line with water, then fill it to the next line with the cleaning solution, then attach the one cleaning hose to it, spray the trigger on the area that you're gonna be cleaning, let it sit for 5 minutes for the cleaning solution to really get in there, and then when you're ready to clean it, you can spray the trigger and just drag it along to clean the stain or carpet. Then once it seems like it's good enough, you stop pressing the trigger so that it will dry up any moisture that's remaining. So let's go try it out, see how it goes. I'm gonna lay out the pieces of the boat floor and the boat deck and just kind of go one at a time. I'll spray the solution on all of them so it can sit there for 5 minutes, and then I'll just start cleaning. So let's see how this goes. Well, it definitely worked. You can see how dark this liquid is. Super dark brown, so that's all the dirty water that got sucked up. Pretty impressive. So far, it's taken a full bottle for each section of the boat. So the first piece of the boat floor, the second piece of the boat floor, the first half of the boat deck, and the second half of the boat deck. So it took 4 bottles to clean it all. That's not this thing's fault. As you can see, it did really well. It cleaned up tons of dirt, but I think it comes down to this is not the appropriate tool for the job. I mean, this is a spot cleaner, and cleaning the floor and deck for a 14-foot boat is a bit bigger than a spot cleaner mess. So really impressed with the tool, but I don't think it's the appropriate one to clean a full boat floor. But as far as just cleaning or treating a spot, I would highly recommend it. Well, there we have it. We have the proper styrofoam finally installed, which should have been in there since day one. We have both sections of the boat floor beautifully cleaned and smelling great, as well as the 2 pieces of the boat deck. Make sure that you guys subscribe to my channel and stay tuned because I have another boat update coming up. That video will probably be released in the next week, and it is a complete disaster. So make sure that you stay tuned and watch that one. And I appreciate you guys watching.